Chapter 81, So Near Yet So Far Away. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Vermilion Bird Shadow. Gu He looked at the elegant shadow in shock. Beside this shadow, he felt a kind of violence that could burn the sky. Only after the scene in his mind disappeared did Gu He slowly open his eyes. A feeling of enlightenment flowed into Gu He's heart, and then a feeling of ecstasy surged into Gu He's heart. At this moment, Gu He felt that he had completely mastered the Vermilion Bird Seal. A high-level earth-level fighting skill. Moreover, he had been immersed in it for a long time and mastered it to the level of perfection. The 10,000 times return not only refers to the level of fighting skills, but also the cultivation insights that Gu He passed on to Ling, which also had to be returned 10,000 times, so that he could perfectly master this fighting skill while accepting the inheritance of the Vermilion Bird Seal. This made Gu He a little excited. It is extremely difficult to practice the high-level earth-level fighting skills, and it takes a lot of energy and time, but now, Gu He has mastered this high-level earth-level fighting skill in just a moment. This undoubtedly saves him a lot of time and energy. Thinking of the scene in his mind just now, the terrifying power of the Suzaku seal, Gu He is not only eager to try. With this high-level earth-level fighting skill, Gu He is confident that he can face the strong men of the Antidozone. Moreover, the life spirit in his body is a strange condensation. It has a great blessing effect on the Suzaku seal, a fighting skill with different attributes, and its power increases explosively. If Gu He's life spirit can be further strengthened, then the Suzaku seal he will use in the future may be comparable to the general low-level heaven-level fighting skills. Afterwards, Gu He looked at Ling, and seeing that he had not yet woken up, he quietly waited by the side. After a moment, Ling's eyelids moved, and then slowly opened his eyes. Thinking of the information he had just received in his mind, Ling's face suddenly showed a touch of ecstasy. Xian-level advanced skills, fiery palm. The teacher actually passed on a Xian-level advanced fighting skill to him. Moreover, the information that the teacher gave him was not only the practice method of fiery palm, but also contained the practice perception of fiery palm. With these practice perceptions, he believed that he could master this fighting skill soon. Thinking of this, he looked at the teacher in front of him. An infinite gratitude rose in his heart. Teacher, you are so kind, and you think too much. You even passed on the practice perception to me. Have you learned it? Feeling Ling's gaze, Gu He immediately said slowly. Ling nodded quickly and said, Teacher, I have learned it. Then continue squatting. I will give you the last reward. Gu He stood up and said lightly. Hearing this, Ling was slightly stunned. After reacting, he immediately squatted in front of Gu He and said expectantly, Teacher, I am ready. Gu He came in front of Ling, stretched out his hand, and put his palm print on Ling's head. With a thought, he directly gave Ling the Xian-level advanced body fighting skill, stepping on the wind, which he had just learned. Of course, at the same time, he also gave Ling the insights and experiences of Gu He in practicing stepping on the wind in the past 2 days. After a while, Gu He passed the stepping on the wind fighting skill to Ling, and then took back the palm print. When Gu He took back his palm, a system prompt sounded in Gu He's mind. Ding, the host has granted my younger brother Ling the Xian-level advanced fighting skill stepping wind. Congratulations to the host for triggering the 10,000 times return and obtaining the Earth-level advanced fighting skill, the end of the world. The Earth-level advanced fighting skill the end of the world has been issued to the system space. Please check it out. Another Earth-level advanced fighting skill. And it's a body fighting skill. Hearing the prompt sound of the system, Gu He was delighted. The value of the Earth-level advanced body fighting skill is almost comparable to a low-level heaven-level fighting skill. High-level body fighting skills are undoubtedly more rare than low-level body fighting skills. There are probably not many high-level body fighting skills of this level in the entire Douqi Continent. Then, Gu He saw that Ling had no signs of waking up for a short period of time, so he thought about it and sank directly into the system space. As soon as he entered the system space, Gu He saw a transparent sphere with silver light floating in the void. Is this the distance? With excitement in his heart, Gu He did not hesitate at all and said in his heart, System, start extracting the distance. The moment Gu He finished speaking, the silver transparent light ball suddenly shot into Gu He's body like an arrow from a string. Boom. At the moment when this silver light was poured into Gu He's body, Gu He's body suddenly shook, a huge amount of information exploded in his mind. These information flashed in his mind as a light and shadow. The next moment, an ancient temple appeared in Gu He's consciousness. In the ancient temple, there were densely packed stone platforms. At this moment, a human-shaped shadow appeared in the hall. Looking at this shadow, Gu He showed a trace of surprise in his eyes. He stared straight at the shadow in his mind, and at this moment, the originally quiet human-shaped shadow suddenly flashed and stepped towards the stage. In the dim ancient hall, silver light flickered. Swish. The human-shaped shadow suddenly turned into a ray of light and swept away. In an instant, it appeared more than 10 feet away. This speed made Gu He a little unable to react. When he looked, the human-shaped light and shadow had disappeared. No, it was not that it disappeared, but that the densely packed stone platforms kept flashing, and the positions where the human-shaped light and shadow appeared were all the positions where the light was suspended. Swish. 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 The sharp sound of breaking wind was circling, and the entire area was full of afterimages of the human-shaped light and shadow flashing, so dense that Gu He could not even see the moving position of the human-shaped light and shadow. The speed at which this human-shaped light and shadow flashed was so fast that Gu He could not even react, but Gu He just saw the trajectory of these light and shadow flashing, as if these human-shaped light and shadows were deeply imprinted in the depths of his mind like a brand. After a moment, Gu He slowly opened his eyes, then rubbed his swollen head, and muttered to himself, I didn't expect that there would be such a mysterious fighting skill in this world. Use the soul to build a base point in the void, and then the body moves with the soul. As Gu He said this, his figure gradually became blurred. The next moment, Gu He's figure appeared directly at the gate of the courtyard without any signs. Then, Gu He's figure quickly dissipated and appeared in the pavilion, leaving only a slowly disappearing afterimage at the gate of the courtyard. The world is so far away, and the world is so far away, so close. Gu He showed a hint of excitement at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 82 Dan Wang Gu He is just a piece of shit. 1/2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 82 Dan Wang Gu He, just a fart. In the pavilion, Gu He had a hint of excitement in his eyes after performing the Ji Qi Wuya twice. The Ji Qi Wuya was based on soul power, and he kept moving in the void. As long as his soul power could reach a place, Gu He could reach it instantly with a thought. This speed was extremely fast, just like teleportation. Of course, the distance of teleportation was related to the amount of Douqi in the cultivator's body. The farther the distance moved, the more terrifying the Douqi consumed. With Gu He Ru's 9-star Do Huang strength, if he used the Ji Qi Wuya with all his strength, he would probably use up all the Douqi in his body before performing it 10 times. However, this was also because Gu He Ru's soul power was too strong. His soul power was fully released, enough to extend 10 miles away. In other words, if Gu He used the close-foot martial art with all his strength, he could instantly reach a location 10 miles away. Gu He's eyes were a little excited as he imagined the many wonderful uses of the close-foot martial art in his mind. With this close-foot martial art, his ability to escape and pursue has been greatly improved. At this time, Gu He saw Xiao playing on a wall in the yard. With a thought, Gu He used the close-foot martial art and his figure appeared directly behind Xiao in an instant. Before the latter could react, he stretched out his hand and grabbed him in his palm. At the moment of being caught, Xiao was startled and subconsciously wanted to resist, but after sensing Gu He's breath, he calmed down. Gu He smiled and teased Xiao for a while, then smiled slightly and returned to the pavilion. Gu He's figure flashed, and his posture was extremely chic. At this moment, Gu He had sensed that Lu Ling was about to wake up. Sure enough, after waiting for a while, Lu Ling finally woke up slowly. When he opened his eyes, the information sealed in his mind flashed through Lu Ling's mind, and his face showed surprise involuntarily. A high-level Xian-level fighting skill. Moreover, it was also a body fighting skill. He naturally understood the value of a high-level Xian-level body fighting skill. Have you learned it? Feeling the excitement on Lu Ling's face, Gu He smiled involuntarily. Hearing this, Lu Ling smiled and nodded, saying, Teacher, with the insights you passed on to me, I have already mastered this Xian-level body fighting skill. Yeah. Nodding lightly, Gu He had expected this situation in his heart. Okay, this time the 3 rewards have been given to you. Gu He looked at the colors outside, and then slowly said, when you break through to a 6-star fighting master next time, or break through to a 3rd-grade alchemist, I will give you 3 treasures again. Hearing this, Ling was slightly stunned, and then his face showed ecstasy. Immediately, he swore in his heart that he must work hard to practice, break through as soon as possible, and improve his alchemy skills as soon as possible. Okay, since the reward has been given to you, go back, and remember to come to special training early tomorrow. Gu He waved his hand and let Ling leave. Hey, teacher. Hearing this, Ling nodded slowly, got up and left the yard. After leaving Gu He Villa, Ling slowly walked towards his residence. Thinking of what he had gained, Ling couldn't help but raise his lips slightly. If he had another initiation and transmission, he might be able to break through to the great fighting master realm. At this moment, a moon-white figure entered his sight. Junior sister Yanran, long time no see. Ling looked at the beautiful Nalan Yanran in front of him, and after a moment of hesitation, he came to greet her enthusiastically. Nalan Yanran was also surprised when she saw Ling. Because she hadn't seen Ling for a while before, Ling always liked to follow her and pester her, which made her feel a little annoyed. Looking at the enthusiastic Ling in front of him, Nalan Yanran frowned slightly, and said calmly, "Senior brother Ling." Ling didn't care much about Nalan Yanran's indifference, and asked curiously, "Junior sister Yanran, are you going to my teacher's yard?" Hearing this, Nalan Yanran nodded and said, "I have something to do with junior sister Xianer." Ling heard this and nodded, and suddenly thought of something, and said with a smile, "I heard that junior sister Yanran has been practicing with my little junior sister for some time. In fact, it's okay for junior sister Yanran to find me." Nalan Yanran looked at Ling and said nothing. Ling felt that Nalan Yanran felt that her cultivation was low, and couldn't help but said, "Junior sister Yanran, don't underestimate me, I am also in the realm of a fighting master now." As he said this, Ling released his own aura. Feeling the aura of Ling, Nalan Yanran was stunned, and then a trace of horror flashed in her beautiful eyes. You broke through the realm of Douqi. That she has always been clear about Ling's strength. Why did his cultivation suddenly improve to the level of Douqi after not seeing him for a while? Ling nodded affirmatively, "Yes. And he has broken through to the realm of a 5-star Douqi." Nalan Yanran's face changed for a while, and then she looked at Ling with complicated eyes, and said faintly, "How did you do it?" Ling subconsciously answered, "Of course, the teacher gave me the initiation." Suddenly, Ling thought of the teacher's warning, and immediately stopped talking, and changed his words, "Of course, the teacher taught well." Nalan Yanran heard this, did not speak, just looked at Ling deeply, and then turned and left. Initiation. Is this the reason why junior sister Xianer's cultivation level has improved so quickly? Nalan Yanran murmured in her heart. Wutan City, in the back mountain of the Xiao family, under a hidden cliff, a young man in black was sitting cross-legged in a cave that was only more than 1 meter wide. Opposite this cliff, there were clouds and mists, and under the clouds and mists, the dangerous demonic mountain range was hidden. Under the cliffs, there was a cliff that could be seen to the bottom. The young man touched the ring in his hand, and suddenly an illusory figure floated out from the ring. A closer look showed that this was an old man with a fairy-like appearance. The young man looked at the old man with a firm look in his eyes and said, "Teacher, I'm ready." Hearing this, the old man nodded and said, "Then start to break through. The chi gathering powder refined by the teacher is enough to make you break through the realm of fighters." Hearing this, the black-clothed boy took a breath slowly, took out a jade bottle from his arms. The mouth of the bottle was slightly tilted, and a blue and green pill rolled out. Looking at the shiny and round surface of the chi gathering powder, the boy smiled slightly, sniffed the refreshing fragrance again, licked his lips, and without any hesitation, took it into his mouth. As soon as the chi gathering powder entered his mouth, a faint cold feeling spread in his mouth. After a moment, a warm and pure energy rushed directly from his mouth into his body. Suddenly, the black-clothed boy's body trembled violently. With a calm face, the black-clothed boy quickly formed the handprints of absorbing Douqi with both hands, and his breathing gradually became stable. The faint Douqi in his body moved in response to his heart, quickly entangled with the powerful pure medicine, and then began to refine it frantically. In the small cave, the calm air suddenly fluctuated violently. and a trace of pale Douqi permeated from the air, and then continuously drilled into the black-clothed boy's body, biting his lips tightly. The collision of the two energies in his body caused the black-clothed boy's meridians to be interrupted and throbbed with pain, but fortunately his meridians were much tougher than those of ordinary people, so although he felt pain, it did not cause too much damage for the time being. In the body, Douqi wrapped around groups of green pure energy. With the crazy refining, green energy was constantly transformed into pale white Douqi. With the support of these, the scale of Douqi in the black-clothed boy's body was constantly expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although the pure medicine was constantly being refined, it seemed that they were endless. Every time Douqi refined a group of medicine, a larger group of green energy would rush over. Under the refining in the body and the continuous injection of Douqi in the body, the Douqi in the black-clothed boy's body had gradually filled most of the veins. Refining continued. When the subsequent power of the pure medicine began to weaken, the black-clothed boy, who was intoxicated by the rapid increase in power, suddenly found that the Douqi in his body had expanded to a critical point where it could not be increased. The expansion of Douqi directly caused the black-clothed boy's meridians to twitch slightly, and waves of severe pain made his mouth crack. Quick, condense the Douqi cyclone. It's about to explode. The old man's shout was like thunder, exploding in the black-clothed boy's heart. Taking a deep breath, the black-clothed boy's handprint suddenly changed, the index and thumb intersected, the middle fingers pointed at each other, and the fingers formed a strange handprint. As the black-clothed boy's handprint changed, the surging Douqi in his body was like being sucked violently, and it shrank rapidly to the lower abdomen. The pale Douqi in the veins of the body began to shrink gradually, and when all the Douqi shrunk to the lower abdomen, the pale Douqi began to turn into milky white. Quick, compress the Douqi. Use soul perception to compress them. If you fail to condense the Douqi cyclone, you will fall back to the first stage of Douqi again. The old man's shout sounded very appropriately in the black-clothed boy's heart. Nodding slightly, the black-clothed boy concentrated his mind, and the white soul perception instantly took control of the Douqi in his body, and then began to compress frantically. Under the drive of soul perception, the milky white Douqi began to resist, and kept violently churning. Although the resistance was weak, the soul perception of the black-clothed boy was so strong that even the old man was amazed at it. Therefore, the protest of Douqi was undoubtedly a futile attempt. After a short stalemate, it began to shrink helplessly. When the Douqi shrank to the size of a palm, it solidified and moved again. Press it again. The old man shouted, gritting his teeth. The black-clothed boy closed his eyes, and the soul perception surrounding the milky white Douqi suddenly opened to the maximum, and then compressed it fiercely. Bang! That a slight muffled sound quietly sounded in the body. As the muffled sound sounded, the exhausted resistance that made the black-clothed boy exhausted dissipated out of thin air. With a heavy sigh of relief, the black-clothed boy fell down with his whole body stripped, his chest heaving violently. Lying in the cold cave, the black-clothed boy felt the abundant energy in his body that he had not felt for 4 years. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. After a moment, the smile gradually expanded, and finally turned into a chuckle, a loud laugh, and a wild laugh. Exhaling lightly, the young man in black closed his eyes slightly, and his mind gradually sank into his body. Internal vision is an auxiliary skill that can only be mastered by the fighter level. The higher the skill, the more thorough the exploration of the situation inside the body. His mind sank into his lower abdomen, where a palm-sized milky white cyclone was slowly rotating, surrounded by a layer of nebula-like milky white energy gas. Staring at this tiny cyclone, the young man in black nodded with satisfaction. Although the current cyclone is small in size, the energy contained in it is definitely more than times stronger than the previous 9-stage Douqi. The fighting spirit between the fighter and the 9th stage is almost in essence. The energy absorbed before the fighter is called fighting energy, and the energy absorbed after the fighting is called the real fighting energy. Although there is only one word difference between the two, the difference is as big as a world of difference and incomparable. The mind controlled the cyclone, and the boy in black's heart moved slightly. A ray of milky white fighting spirit quickly separated from the cyclone, and then rushed away along the direction of the mind. He controlled the influx of the cyclone with his mind, and after he became more and more skilled, the boy in black stopped his playful actions with satisfaction, and his mind slowly retreated from the body. The closed eyes suddenly opened, and in the dark pupils, the milky white light stayed for a few seconds before gradually dissipating. The mouth was slightly opened, and a breath of sluggish air was sprayed out by the young man in black. After exhaling this turbid air, the face of the young man in black became obviously smoother. He twisted his neck, and the crackling sound of bones colliding with each other made the young man in black grin. He raised his head, looked at the old man floating like a ghost at the entrance of the cave, and said with a bright smile, "Teacher, success. Breakthrough into the realm of combatants." The old man nodded and said, "If you can't even break through as a fighter, then it would be a joke for me to accept you as my disciple." Hearing this, the corners of the black-clothed young man's mouth twitched slightly, and he said with some conviction, "Teacher, it should be considered a mistake to be able to break through to the realm of a fighter in just a few months." Seeing the young man in black say this, the old man said calmly, "Xiao Yan, fighting is just the beginning." Back then, even the alchemists in the Douhuang realm had to kneel down and worship him as their master. "Does the powerful Douhuang seek you as his disciple?" The boy in black was extremely shocked and asked in surprise, "Teacher, what level of alchemist are you?" Hearing the words, the old man said calmly, "I'd better tell you my origin as a teacher now, so as not to distract you. You just need to know that something like that so-called king of alchemy is, actually just shit." The corners of his mouth twitched. The young man in black looked at the old man's casual appearance. He swallowed the words he was about to say. "Who is the origin of the teacher?" "The famous alchemy king Furukawa of the Gama Empire is a piece of shit." Such words, if you let him go, he will probably be laughed at by the entire Jiama Empire as a lunatic, right? However, the old man's words gave the young man in black great confidence. Thinking of the shameful breakup of the engagement a few months ago, a gleam appeared in the eyes of the young man in black. "Nalan Yanran, just wait. In that battle 3 years later, Xiao Yan will definitely use his full strength to defeat you in one fell swoop." This young man in black is none other than Xiao Yan, and that illusory old man's figure is Yao Lao, where Yunlan Sect has alchemy king Gu He, and now S teacher is a person whose strength far exceeds that of Furukawa. In the future, when you step into Yunlan Sect, Xiao Yan will definitely let you understand what a true genius is. Window_tabula equals window_tabula dot push mode thumbs feed 01 container tabula below article thumbnail 300x250 placement below article thumbnail 300 by 250 target _type mix. Chapter 83 Soul Palace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The back mountain of Yunlan Sect, on a cliff, Furukawa's figure appeared out of thin air. After unfolding his soul power and sensing that no one was around, Furukawa thought in his mind and began to make handprints on his hands. The hands danced, and mysterious seals were condensed from ancient times. In an instant, several traces of Tao marks condensed between Guha's fingers. As these mysterious marks come together, the bright starry sky pattern appears as the void. Immediately afterwards, a high-pitched neighing sound resounded from the starry sky, and an elegant and huge figure slowly appeared from within. The phantom of the Suzaku was filled with red flames, and an extremely violent and hot aura spread out from it, like a veiled beast, standing in the void, as if it was going to burn the entire land. Staring at the shadow in the void, Furukawa's body trembled slightly, and his eyes showed extreme excitement. It is indeed an advanced Earth-level fighting skill. With such power, I am afraid even the strongest Dozone warriors would not dare to resist. Then, with a thought in Furukawa's mind, he drove the Suzaku's shadow towards the cliff below. Phew! With a high-pitched scream, the huge Suzaku's shadow in the void turned into a fiery red light pillar at an extremely fast speed and blasted towards the bottom of the cliff. At the same time, Furukawa's figure flashed and left the cliff of the back mountain directly. When he reappeared, he had already returned to his own courtyard. Although he returned to the other courtyard, Furukawa's soul power stayed on the cliff. Only a shocking roar was heard from the bottom of the cliff, and torrential flames shot up from the bottom of the cliff. Click. The next moment, under the huge energy impact, the cliff was overwhelmed and turned into countless fragments, falling towards the bottom of the cliff. As the cliff was destroyed, Furukawa slowly regained his soul power, a smile appeared on his lips, and he felt very satisfied with the power of this Suzaku seal. After the loud explosion sounded, a moon-white light quickly fell on the edge of the cliff. He has white hair and an old face, and his whole body exudes the terrifying aura belonging to the peak realm of the 9-star Do Huang. What a rich fire attribute energy, that the old man looked at the destroyed cliff, with a trace of solemnity on his old face. Who appears in the back of Yunlan sect? What is this person's intention? Demonstration. Feeling the powerful aura remaining in the void, the old man's face gradually became gloomy. The arrival of such a powerful person in Yunlan sect, no matter what the other party's intentions, gave the old man a strong sense of crisis. At this moment, a thick black fog appeared out of thin air beside the old man. Jia, it seems that with such power, the strength of the Khmer may have reached the realm of Do Zong. I didn't expect that the Jia Ma Empire actually lurks such a strong person. I just don't know whether this person is an enemy or a friend of your Yunlan sect. It seems that the position of your Yunlan sect in the Gama Empire is not so stable. Weird sounds came from the black mist, and the words were full of ridicule. Hearing the voice coming from the black mist, the old man's face became even more gloomy. Regarding the gloomy look on the old man's face, black mist's presence showed no interest at all, and the strange voice continued to sound. How about it, Yunshan? This protector will give you another chance. As long as you cooperate with this protector, the two of you will be together. Within a year, I will definitely help you break through the realm of Do Zong. Only in this way can your Yunlan sect's position in the Jia Ma Empire continue to be stable, and you can even get rid of the royal family and unify the entire Jia Ma Empire in one fell swoop. The patience of this protector is limited. If you continue to push the envelope, you will not be afraid that this protector will find the Gama royal family. I believe that the old guy who has been punished will be happy to cooperate with me. Hearing this, the old man's expression changed. If Jiaxing, his sworn enemy, really breaks through to the realm of Do Zong, then his status as Yunlan sect's Jia Empire will really be at risk. After hesitating for a moment, the old man said more solemnly, "Can you really help me break through to the Do Zong realm within 2 years?" Jia, it seems that you still don't believe in this protector. I'm just a Do Zong realm, what does it mean to my soul palace? Yunshan, if it weren't for this protector's mission, which requires the power of your Yunlan sect, even if you kneel down to pray to this protector, I would not pay attention to you. He Wu's voice said coldly. Hearing this, Yunshan fell into silence. After a moment, he nodded slowly and said, "Okay, I promise you." Gigi, you finally figured it out. Don't worry, when you break through to the Do Zong realm, you will never regret the decision you made today. Some proud laughter came from Heiwu. Yunshan nodded lightly and responded, "I hope so." As soon as he finished speaking, Yunshan's figure turned into a white light and disappeared on the cliff. The black mist surrounded the cliff in a circle, and then slowly disappeared into the void. I didn't expect that the Jia Empire would actually hide such a powerful Do Zong figure. I don't know who he is. In the black mist, a strange murmur came out faintly. What Furukawa didn't know was that the big explosion from the back mountain of Yunlan sect not only caused Yunshan to cooperate with the Soul Palace in advance, at the same time, it also attracted the attention of many Yunlan sect elders. Many elders came to the cliff and looked at the destroyed cliff with horror on their faces. My mind couldn't help but have all kinds of thoughts. Is there a terrifying demon beast in the back mountain? Is there a peerless strongman passing by Yunlan sect? All kinds of strange guesses flashed through the minds of the elders of Yunlan sect. The instigator of all this was sitting leisurely in the pavilion of the courtyard, drinking tea with a look of enjoyment. At this moment, Gu He's expression changed slightly, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. What is this old guy doing here? A moment later, an old man in a moon-white robe slowly came to the outside of Gu He's courtyard. Gu He wants to see Elder Gu He. This moon-white old man is the deacon of the outer gate of Yunlan mountain. Gu He, come in. After Gu Ye's voice fell for a moment, Gu He's faint voice came from the courtyard. Hearing this, Gu Ye respectfully walked into the courtyard. Gu Ye greets Elder Gu He. When he arrived at the pavilion, Gu Ye greeted Gu He respectfully. I wonder what Deacon Gu Ye is doing here. Gu He put down the teacup in his hand and asked with some doubt. Gu responded, Elder Gu He, someone from the Maitel family just came and said that they want you to go to the Maitel auction house to discuss something. The Maitel family. Hearing this, Gu He was slightly stunned, and then he thought of the agreement he made with Maitel Tingshan that day. Could it be that he has already gathered all the medicinal materials for Qingming show? Window_tabula equals window_tabula .push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 84 Refining Qingming Shoudan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An hour later, Maitel Auction House, VIP Room. Chief Tingshan called me here. Is it about the Qingming Shoudan? In the VIP room, and Maitel Tingshan sat opposite each other. Hearing this, Maitel Tingshan nodded. That's right, Your Excellency Dan Wang, I have already gathered all the materials needed to refine the Qingming Shoudan. A trace of surprise flashed across Wang He's eyes. The Maitel family is indeed the richest family in the Jia Empire. Even the Yunlan sect finds it difficult to gather the materials for refining the Qingming Shoudan. I didn't expect that Patriarch Tingshan could gather all of them in such a short time. Your Excellency Dan Wang, you are too kind. How can my Maitel family be compared with the Yunlan sect? Hearing this, Maitel Tingshan showed a look of panic on his face and explained, I am also lucky. I also spent a huge price to gather these medicinal materials. As he spoke, Maitel Tingshan's face flashed with a trace of pain. Obviously, in order to gather these materials, the Maitel family also bleed heavily this time. Patriarch Tingshan is too modest. Since the herbs are all here, please bring them to us. Dong He said calmly. Okay. After hearing this, Maitel Tingshan immediately presented Dong He with a storage ring without hesitation. After taking the storage ring from Maitel Tingshan, Dong He immersed himself in it, checked it for a while, and then nodded. In the storage ring, there were not only 2 materials for refining Qingming Shoudan, but also some main ingredients for Fu Xilingdan. Putting away the ring, Wang He stood up and said, Since the medicinal materials have been gathered, I will help you refine it while it's still early. Wang He looked at Middle Tingshan and said, I wonder if there is a quiet place in the auction house. Hearing Wang He's words, Middle Tingshan hesitated. Your Excellency the Pill King is going to start refining the Qingming Shoudan now. In his opinion, shouldn't Wang He make some preparations before refining? After all, this is a top-grade elixir. If there is a slight mistake, all the previous efforts will be abandoned. Middle Tingshan is naturally clear about the rules of the medicine refining industry. If both materials fail to be refined, he will be the only one who is unlucky. This time, the Middle family spent a lot of money to gather 2 medicinal materials. If the refining fails, the loss will be great. Therefore, Middle Tingshan was slightly dissatisfied with the perfunctory attitude of the river, but facing the first alchemist of the Jia Empire, he naturally did not dare to show his dissatisfaction. At that time, he just said with a little suggestion in his tone, Your Excellency Dan Wang, why don't you take the herbs back first and prepare them for 2 days before starting to refine? No need. Dong He waved his hand and said, It's just a Qingming Shoudan, why do you need to prepare it? Dong He showed confidence as always. In terms of the difficulty of refining, Qingming Shoudan is not even as difficult as Huangji Dan. Even the top-grade elixir Huangji Dan was taken by himself, let alone a Qingming Shoudan. Seeing that Dong He was confident, Middle Tingshan was stunned and didn't know how to speak for a while. Seeing this, Wu naturally understood what he was thinking, and said with a somewhat unhappy look, If Chief Tingshan has no confidence in my alchemy skills, you might as well ask someone else. Hearing this, Middle Tingshan's heart skipped a beat. Ask someone else. You are the only top-grade alchemist in the Jia Empire, who else can I ask? Middle Tingshan was speechless, but seeing that Dong He looked unhappy, Dong He was afraid of offending him and quickly explained, Your Excellency Dan Wang is too serious. Since you are so confident, I will do as you say. As for the quiet place, there is an alchemy room in my middle auction house. If you don't mind, Dan Wang. Before Middle Tingshan finished speaking, Dong He nodded lightly and said, then please ask the Tingshan clan leader to lead the way. Soon, under the leadership of Middle Tingshan, Dong He slowly came to the alchemy room inside the Middle auction house. The Middle family can become the richest man in the Jiamai Empire, and naturally they have cultivated many alchemists in the family, and this alchemy room is prepared by the Middle family for these alchemists. Dong He glanced at the alchemy room, where there were several medicine cauldrons, all of which looked good, and the quality was no worse than the one Ling gave to Xiao. Yixian, sighing inwardly that the Mitre family was rich, Dong He calmed down a little and focused on alchemy. Arriving at an open space, Dong He flicked his finger, and the next moment, the huge dragon soul cauldron appeared out of thin air, and then fell heavily to the ground, bringing with it a low dragon roar. With his eyes narrowed, Dong He's mind flashed again and again about the refining method of the Qingming pill and all the things that needed to be paid attention to. After a while, his eyes suddenly opened, and purple flames rose in his dark eyes. Puff! Amidst the subtle sound, a wisp of purple flame shot out from the river, and then with a flick of his fingertips, the flame turned into a stream of light and rushed into the medicine cauldron like lightning. The purple flame instantly turned into a blazing flame, burning in it. The scorching temperature, even with the isolation of the medicine cauldron, still seeped out, causing the temperature in the alchemy room to slowly rise. Ignoring the high temperature around him, his eyes stayed in the medicine cauldron without blinking. And after a moment, he waved his hand, and a green thorny fruit with a faint strong fragrance fell into his hand. Glancing at the Qingming fruit, which was the main material for refining Qingming Shoudan, he could feel the rich vitality from it. Holding the Qingming fruit in his hand, he flicked his finger and shot it into the medicine cauldron without hesitation, and was swept by the blazing green flames. The soul power spread out from the center of his eyebrows and finally invaded the medicine cauldron, concentrating on controlling the weather changes and paying attention to the movement of the Qingming fruit. Under the high temperature burning of the origin god, no matter how hard the medicinal materials are, they will surrender in the shortest time. The Qingming fruit is no exception. Although it relies on the vitality contained in it to block the origin god for a moment, when Wang He's mind moved, the flames roared, and a trace of milky white juice slowly overflowed from the Qingming fruit. As the flames slowly evaporated, more and more milky white juice flowed out, and finally formed a half-palm-sized liquid ball below it. Staring at the medicine cauldron, about half an hour later, Wang He's handprint changed. The flames in the medicine cauldron gradually slowed down, and the Qingming fruit in it had completely dissipated, replaced by a ball of milky white liquid emitting vitality. Looking at the milky white liquid, Dong He breathed a sigh of relief, flicked his finger, and the flames soared. Under the skyrocketing hot temperature, the palm-sized milky white liquid was gradually shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. As its volume shrank, its color became darker and darker. In the end, it was almost like a white pearl. Seeing that there was no accident in the refining of Qingming fruit, Dong He did not pause at all. With a wave of his hand, another medicinal material was swept over and finally thrown into the medicine cauldron. As time went on, one medicinal material after another was thrown into the medicine cauldron by Dong He. Therefore, more and more pure medicinal powers began to appear in the medicine cauldron. At this moment, a solemn look finally appeared on the face of the river. All the power of the soul swept out, tightly wrapped every medicinal power in the medicine cauldron, and finally controlled them at different temperatures required, and slowly refined them. When the refining lasted about an hour, all the medicinal materials were finally refined by the river in an orderly manner. After nearly 3 hours of tedious refining, a pill prototype with an uneven surface finally began to appear in the medicine cauldron. As the pill prototype took shape, a strong vitality also spread out from it. The river took a breath, and the fatigue between his eyebrows slowly faded away. It is indeed a miraculous pill that can prolong life. With a secret compliment in his heart, he was amazed. This pill that can prolong life is extremely rare even in the entire Douqi Continent. After all, unless you really cultivate Douqi to that peak level, everyone will have a moment when their lifespan is about to end. If you can break through at this time, your lifespan will naturally increase. But if you can't break through, then no matter you are Do Huang or Do Zong, you still have to be buried obediently. At this moment, a pill that can prolong life will infinitely highlight its preciousness. Because if you have this pill, you can achieve a breakthrough in the extended time of a few years. Then not only will your lifespan increase greatly, but your strength will also be greatly improved. Therefore, the elixir that can increase lifespan is as popular as some elixirs that can directly increase strength in the Douqi Continent. In fact, in some ways, it is more precious than the elixir that can increase strength. After all, the elixir prescription that can increase strength is not uncommon, but the elixir that can increase lifespan is extremely rare. In the entire continent, the number of people who have the elixir prescription that can increase lifespan is probably as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. If it weren't for the inheritance of the 9th-grade alchemist, he wouldn't know the method of refining this rare elixir at this moment. As the thoughts in the mind of the elixir turned over, the uneven elixir prototype gradually became rounder under the slow smoke of the purple flame, and a strong elixir fragrance emanated from it. Under the careful maintenance of the elixir, the luster on the surface of the milky white elixir became more and more intense. After about half an hour, the elixir suddenly trembled, and then a strong energy ripple emerged out of thin air, like a water wave, spreading wildly. Bang! Bang! That the energy ripple spread out and finally hit the inner wall of the medicine cauldron, making a series of crisp bell sounds. Chapter 85 The Strong Gather Together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fortunately, my dragon soul cauldron is strong enough. If it were an ordinary medicine cauldron, it would have broken under this kind of energy impact. Looking at the medicine cauldron that only showed a slight tremor in the energy impact, Gu He couldn't help but secretly praise it. Outside the alchemy room, Middletonchan walked back and forth in the corridor, stopping from time to time to look at the alchemy room, with a trace of worry and anxiety on his face. It must be done. Middletonchan prayed silently in his heart. At this moment, he suddenly sensed that the alchemy room suddenly shook violently. Hearing this vibration, Middletonchan's face changed in his heart. Will it not fail? Thinking of this, Middletonchan's face couldn't help but become a little ugly. Then, he felt a strong energy fluctuation, which was rapidly forming. At the same time, a strong smell of medicine spread through the alchemy room to the outside. It works. Feeling this strong energy fluctuation, Middletonchan was slightly stunned, and then his face quickly showed ecstasy. At this moment, the energy fluctuation in the alchemy room suddenly surged to a terrifying level, and then there was only a bang, and a half-foot energy light column actually shot out directly from the alchemy room, and finally pierced through the ceiling and rushed straight into the sky. Looking at the light column that pierced through the ceiling and rushed into the sky, Middletonchan was slightly stunned, and then his face showed a touch of shock. Is this the power of the 6th-grade elixir when it was in its infancy? The energy light column that rose from the sky in the middle auction house attracted the attention of many powerful people in the imperial capital. Almost as soon as it appeared, many people were shocked and quickly flashed around the room. In less than a moment, many strong men came to the outside of the middle auction house. As they watched closely, some strong men finally recognized the source of the light column, and exclamations rang out. The light column is filled with the fragrance of elixir. It seems that someone is refining elixir in that room. Although high-level elixirs can cause some noise, unless they are high-grade elixirs, there are few such strange phenomena. Could it be that someone is refining high-grade elixirs? No, the noise when high-grade elixirs are made is much louder than this. It must be some rare high-grade elixir among the 6th-grade elixirs. TSK, the elixir that can cause such a noise is definitely unusual. Hey, I wonder which alchemy master is down there. Could it be Master Fa Ma of the Alchemist Union? Hey, Master Fa Ma is only a top-grade alchemist, how can he be able to refine this 6th-grade elixir? As more and more powerful people appeared around the pavilion, there were more and more whispers. Some people who heard these words looked at the light column with a little greed in their eyes. The elixir that could cause such a movement was definitely not an ordinary thing. Swish, bursts of wind-breaking sounds suddenly sounded, and then some figures flashed over, and finally floated in the sky, looking at the light column that rose to the sky with surprise. Such a strange phenomenon must be refining the 6th grade. I wonder which master is refining the elixir at the Mytel auction house. In the sky, a figure stood in the air, and an old man in a linen robe looked at the direction of the Mytel auction house with some surprise. Oh, looking at this, I'm afraid the elixir is about to reach the 1st grade level. This level of elixir is difficult to refine even for Gu He. Next to the old man in hemp robe, a man vibrated his fighting spirit wings, his face full of solemnity. If Middle Tingshan was here, he would recognize this old man, the guardian of the Jiama royal family, Jia Xingtian, known as the old man in hemp robe. And the middle-aged man next to Jia Xingtian is Mu Chen, the head of the Mu family. Not long ago, Yunlan Sect spread the news that the elixir king Gu He can already refine the 6th grade 1st grade elixir. Jia Xingtian suddenly thought of something, looking at the direction of the middle auction house, a hint of speculation flashed in his eyes. Hearing this, Mu Chen was slightly stunned. You mean, the person refining the elixir inside is the Dan King Gu He? Very capable. Jia Xingtian nodded slightly, his face a little ugly. It seems that the royal family has put too much pressure on the Maitel family. I don't know how Maitel Tingshan invited the Dan King Gu He. For the Jiama royal family, the Yunlan sect, the first sect of the Jiama Empire, is definitely a big worry. The strength of the Yunlan sect is terrifying. There is a Do Huang master Yunyan sitting in the sect, and Yun Shan has been in seclusion looking for an opportunity to break through the Do Zong. Although the strength of the Jiama royal family is also not to be underestimated, compared with the Yunlan sect, the strength of the Jiama royal family is somewhat inferior. For so many years, the two huge monsters seem to coexist peacefully on the surface. But they have clashed many times in secret. On the surface, both sides did not express their attitudes, but secretly they were trying to win over forces and promote their own development, and did not directly cause a conflict. Although the royal family of the Gama Empire has always been wary of the other party, they finally did not tear their faces. Yun did not know the foundation of the royal family of the Gama Empire, and even if she had an idea, she did not dare to implement it. There are many Do Wang elders in the Yunlan sect, but there are also many Do Wang strongmen in the Gama royal family, and there are also many families supporting them. For example, the Mu family is the confidant of the Gama royal family and controls many military groups in the Gama Empire. As for the Nalan family, it was hard to say before, but since Nalan Yenran joined the Yunlan sect and became Yunyan's personal disciple, if she was allowed to choose, there is no doubt that she would definitely stand on the side of the Yunlan sect. There is only one middle family left. The middle family has not expressed its stance and has maintained a neutral attitude. For these reasons, although the royal family coveted the Mitre family's wealth, they did not dare to make it too obvious, for fear of forcing the Mitre family to fall to the Yunlan sect. Nowadays, Alchemy King Furukawa is now at the Maitel auction house, and he is actually refining 6th grade elixirs. This makes Jia Xingtian doubt that the Maitel family is very likely to seek refuge with the Yunlan sect. Thinking of this, Jia Xingtian's face suddenly became gloomy. Looking around, Jia Xingtian immediately condensed his eyes and said lightly, I didn't expect Nalan Jia to come too. Hearing this, Mu Chen was also startled, and immediately looked along Jia Xingtian's line of sight, only to see a figure floating in the sky not far away, the head of the Nalan family, Nalan Jia. Mu Chen glanced at Nalan Jia coldly, and said calmly, it seems that the doling pill this time has helped him break through the realm, and even suppressed the poison in his body. Hearing this, Jia Xingtian also gave Nalan Jia a cold look. Isn't it so easy to suppress the poison? Find out how to find out what elixir King Furukawa has refined this time, and whether the Mitre family has turned to the Yunlan sect. After saying that, Jia Xingtian glanced in the direction of Mitre's auction house again, left a word, and turned to leave. At this moment, in the alchemy room, the sound of the bell gradually weakened. A milky white elixir in the medicine cauldron suddenly released a dazzling light. Immediately, it was wrapped in a white light and forcibly opened the medicine cauldron. However, it was in a tight secret room. After flying for a long time, he still couldn't escape. This Qingming longevity pill is indeed extraordinary. I have thought about running away all my life. Seeing the action of the elixir, Furukawa was also startled, and then smiled and shook his head. With a move from behind, a suction force directly forced the white light flying around into his hand, and then took the jade bottle stopper and put it in. As the elixir was stuffed into the jade bottle, it slowly became quiet. Seeing this, Furukawa smiled with satisfaction and took a deep breath. Refining the elixir this time also consumed a lot of his energy. Window_Tabula equals window_Tabula, tabula.push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300x250, target type, mix. Chapter 86 Ice Heart Armor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Squeak. As the door of the alchemy room was opened, the anxious Mittelingchen who had been waiting outside heard the sound and immediately rushed forward. Dan Wang Pavilion, what's going on? Mittelingchen said excitedly. Furukawa smiled slightly, then took out the jade bottle and handed it to Mittelingchen, saying calmly, fortunately, I did not disgrace my life. Although he already knew the result in his heart, Mittelingchen couldn't help but feel excited when he looked at the jade bottle in his hand. After a moment of excitement, Mittelingchen finally calmed down a little, looked at Furukawa, and said softly, thank you, Dan Wang Pavilion. Gu He shook his head and said with a smile, it's just a little effort. Hearing this, the corners of Mittelingchen's mouth twitched slightly. 6th grade elixirs can be considered a piece of cake. In the entire Jia Ma Empire, the guy in front of me is the only one qualified to say this. Although he was speechless in his heart, Mittelingchen still said politely, thank you for your hard work in Dan Wang Pavilion. Please rest in the VIP room. Hearing this, Gu He nodded and said, it's okay, Gu needs the help of the Tingshan clan chief to do something good. After saying that, Furukawa took the lead and walked towards the VIP room. Mittelingchen has some doubts in his heart. Does King Dan Wang Furukawa need his help? Shaking his head, Mittelingchen followed Furukawa to the VIP room. I don't know what matters Dan Wang Pavilion needs help from. In the VIP room, Mittelingchen looked at Furukawa with some doubts. Furukawa smiled slightly, took out a list that he had prepared earlier from the ring and handed it to Mittelingchen. He smiled lightly and said, please help me, Chief Tingshan, to get all the medicinal materials on this list together. The sooner the better, the better. Okay, I'm in a hurry. Medicine. Hearing this, Mittelingchen stepped forward suspiciously and took the list from Furukawa. After seeing the medicinal materials on the list clearly, Mittelingchen breathed a sigh of relief. Although there are a few 5th-level herbs on this list, it is not difficult to get them together with the ability of Mitre Auction House. What made him a little confused was that there were many poisonous weeds on the list. This made Mittelingchen a little puzzled. Could it be that poisonous weeds are needed to make elixirs? Although he has some doubts in his heart, Mittelingchen also understands that the list listed by the alchemist cannot be inquired at will. This is a taboo. Thinking of this, Mittelingchen didn't care about this, smiled and nodded to Furukawa, don't worry, I will send someone to help you gather these medicinal materials as soon as possible. Please wait here for a moment. Furukawa nodded, then took out his unlimited gold coin card from the ring and handed it to Mittelingchen. The cost of the medicinal materials will be deducted from this card. Hearing this, Mittelingchen's expression changed, and he said with a smile, Dan Wang Pavilion, you are just kidding. You helped me refine the Qingming Shoudan, and I haven't even had time to pay you yet. What's on this list? Treat the medicinal materials as a reward given to you. Furukawa was stunned for a moment, and then directly rejected Mittelingchen's kindness. No need, Gu accepted Patriarch Tingshan's kindness. However, Gu needs a lot of medicinal materials. Please ask Patriarch Tingshan to send 10 copies of each of the medicinal materials listed on this list. Gu He said calmly. Said. What? 10%? Hearing this, Mittelingchen couldn't help but be shocked, with a look of astonishment on his face. Dan Wang Pavilion, this. Seeing the hesitation on Mittelingchen's face, Furukawa couldn't help but ask, what, can't Chief Tingshan do it? Of course it can be done, but it will take a little longer. I'll bother you to wait for a while in Dan Wang Pavilion. Hearing this, Mittel immediately came back to his senses, hesitated for a moment, and said, since Dan Wang Pavilion said so, I won't force you. If Dan Wang Pavilion doesn't mind, I will give you all these medicinal materials. Sold to you at 30% off. When Furukawa heard this, he was about to refuse. After all, he had unlimited gold coins in his hand. No matter how many gold coins he had, it would not cause any disturbance in his heart. However, I thought that I deserved this treatment, so I no longer refused. I nodded lightly and said, since the leader of the Tingshan clan has said so, Gu can only be respectful and obey his orders. Hearing this, Middleton Shan smiled slightly, came to the VIP room, handed the list in his hand to a steward, and then returned to the VIP room. Then, the two chatted for another moment, and Furukawa suddenly said, I wonder if any treasures have been auctioned recently at the Mitre auction house. Treasure. Hearing this, Middlingshan was slightly startled. Then he thought that Furukawa was preparing to participate in an auction, and immediately nodded and said, speaking of treasures, I have gained a lot during this period. Hearing this, Gu He's eyes lit up and he asked, I wonder if Clan Chief Tingshan can show me the list of auction items for this auction. Hearing this, Middleton Shan said loudly, why is this so difficult? You can just take a look at the Dan Wang Pavilion if you want. With that said, Middleton Shan took out a list from the Neji and gave it to Furukawa. Furukawa looked at the list in his hand with a hint of expectation and browsed it carefully. After the engraving, Gu He read the list, his eyes lit up, and he said with some surprise, it seems that the Tingshan clan leader has prepared a lot of good things for this auction. Hearing this, Middleton Shan was about to say something, but he heard Furukawa ask, Chief Tingshan, can the ice heart armor listed on this list be sold directly to me now? Ice heart armor, which is inlaid with several 5th-level ice attribute magic cores, has amazing defense power, enough to withstand the full-strength attack of Do Huang's strongmen. Hearing Liu Yun's words, Mitel Tingshan was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes changed slightly, as if he was thinking about something. After a while, Mitel finally nodded slowly and said, since Dan Wang Pavilion likes this ice heart armor, there is naturally no courtesy to refuse. Although it is a bit troublesome, Mitel Tingshan considers Gu He's feelings and can only agree to his request obediently. Gu He heard this and immediately smiled and said, then Gu Mao will thank Tingshan clan leader first. Mitel Tingshan heard this and shook his head slightly and said, it's just a little effort. Then, Gu He continued to chat with Mitel Tingshan. After waiting for nearly an hour, a steward walked into the room and handed a ring to Mitel Tingshan. Mitel Tingshan took the ring and then handed it to Gu He. Dan Wang Pavilion, everything you need is in here. As he said that, Mitel Tingshan took out Gu He's unlimited gold coin card and handed it to Gu He. Gu He took the ring and looked at it for a while, and immediately smiled. With these medicinal materials, even if he went on a long journey this time, Lu Ling and Yixian would not be left behind in their cultivation resources. Chapter 87 Leaving Yunlan Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher, is here. Lu Ling came to the other courtyard excitedly and shouted to Furukawa who was taking a nap in the pavilion, asked. Gu He slowly opened his eyes, glanced at Lu Ling, then sat up and said calmly, come here, what are you talking about? Lu Ling smiled and said, teacher, it's time for you to give me special training. Furukawa nodded lightly, then waved his hand, and a large wooden barrel appeared in the yard. Lu Ling looked at the wooden barrel in the yard and asked doubtfully, teacher, didn't you say that we would change to a special training style today? Lu Ling was a little disappointed. After breaking through to the 5-star fighting master realm, burning blood powder's effect on him is no longer very great. What are you talking about? Just jump in quickly. Gu He glared at him. Okay, teacher. When Lu Ling heard this, she suddenly didn't dare to speak. He ran to fill the bucket with water, then jumped down and fell into the bucket. Virtue. Gu He glanced at Lu Ling, held a jade bottle in his hand, and walked slowly over. As Furukawa opened the jade bottle, a stream of emerald green liquid slowly flowed into the wooden barrel. Seeing this, Lu Ling was a little surprised and said, teacher, are you mistaken? This is purple jade spiritual liquid. Why did it start pouring when you saw it? Shouldn't you set off the blood powder first? Furukawa glanced at indifferently, and said slowly, I am afraid that your life will be in danger later, so I should get vaccinated in advance. My life is at risk. Hearing this, Lu Ling's head trembled, and she looked at Furukawa with some fear, and said weakly, teacher, you don't mean to be serious. Furukawa glanced at and sneered, why are you so scared? Who vowed yesterday to increase efforts? Lu Ling suddenly felt a little weak, but still said weakly, teacher, can you be gentler? Cannot. After saying that, Gu He took another jade bottle from Neji, handed it to Lu Ling and said, "Drink it and lick it clean. This is a 5th grade spiritual liquid. A bottle is worth 1 million gold coins." After saying that, Gu He turned around and returned to the pavilion. In the wooden barrel, Lu Ling looked at the jade bottle in her hand, a little stunned. "Drink it? Why did you change it directly this time?" Thinking of what Furukawa said just now, Lu Ling suddenly felt a little shy and didn't dare to speak. At this time, Gu He returned to the pavilion and poured himself a cup of tea. Seeing that Lu Ling was still hesitant, he said, "The medicinal power of the purple jade spiritual liquid will evaporate. If you keep it up like this, the medicinal power will lose its effectiveness. But my life is really at risk." Hearing this, Lu Ling's expression changed. She no longer dared to hesitate and opened the jade bottle in her hand. The moment he opened the jade bottle, a hot breath suddenly emanated from the jade bottle. Lu Ling's expression changed. She looked at Gu He in the pavilion, a trace of ruthlessness flashed in her eyes, and then she raised her head and leaned into the jade bottle. The next moment, red liquid flowed from the jade bottle and was swallowed directly by Lu Ling. The moment the red liquid entered her belly, Lu Ling felt as if she had swallowed a mouthful of magma. An extremely hot feeling came from her belly, and Lu Ling's expression changed. As the medicine dissipated, an extremely painful burning sensation rippled through Lu Ling's limbs. In an instant, Lu Ling's face was distorted. Then, the lung-breaking scream sounded in the yard again. In the room, the little medical fairy was awakened by the screams coming from behind. She opened her eyes faintly, with a trace of black powder still remaining on the corner of her mouth. Recalling the pain caused to him after swallowing the poison last night, the little doctor's face showed a trace of lingering fear. "Ah!" At this time, Lu Ling's lung-breaking screams reached the ears of the little doctor again, causing her face to change slightly, and she murmured, "Teacher is giving special training to senior brother again." Compared with the pain that senior brother suffered during special training, swallowing poison seems a bit light. Senior brother, his qualifications are not as good as, but he still works so hard. Is suffering from bad luck and poisonous body, so he naturally has to work harder. Thinking of this, the little medical fairy struggled to get up, sat cross-legged on the bed, and began to stabilize the growing cultivation in the body. An hour later, Lu Ling weakly climbed up the barrel and came to the pavilion to sit down. "Teacher, this special training almost killed this disciple." Lu Ling collapsed on her seat, panting, and it seemed that she had not fully recovered. Gu He smiled slightly, looked at Lu Ling and said, "Will it have any effect?" "Effect?" Hearing this, Lu Ling was slightly startled, and then slowly said, "Of course the effect is there." Furukawa directly interrupted, "Since it is effective, you kids should not give nonsense. From now on, your special training standard will be this red flame spirit liquid." As he said that, Furukawa took a few jade bottles from the Neji and put them on the table. "This is your capacity for the next month. The special training from now on will be up to you," Furukawa said calmly. Lu Ling stared blankly at the jade bottles on the table, then suddenly realized and said in surprise, "Teacher, do you want to leave?" Gu He nodded slowly, "I have something to do as a teacher. I'll send it tomorrow. This trip will take about a month. After I leave as a teacher, you must not slack off in your cultivation. After I come back as a teacher, you must test your cultivation. If you stagnate, don't blame me for being rude." Furukawa looking at Lu Ling, he said in a stern tone. Lu Ling's heart tightened, and he immediately promised, "Teacher, please let go, I will practice diligently." Gu He nodded with satisfaction and said, "Although your talent is not as good as your junior sister, hard work can make up for shortcomings. If you practice hard, you may be able to catch up with your junior sister in the future." Lu Ling said solemnly, "Teacher, I will." After a while, Lu Ling left the yard, and Gu He called Yixian again. "Disciple, how is your cultivation progress?" Gu He smiled and looked at Yixian. Yixian smiled softly and said, "Teacher, I have broken through to the 7-star dosha. In about a day, I will be able to break through to the 8-star dosha." Hearing this, Gu He couldn't help but sigh. The evil poison body is so strong. The evil poison body is already shocking. The self-transmission and empowerment can be said to be against the will of heaven. Disciple, I left a gift for you in my room, which is a reward for you this month. Gu He rubbed Yixian's head and said softly, however, you have to wait until the next day, when you break through the 8-star dosher, before you can go to get it. There are still a few days, and it will be a month before the last transmission of power to Yixian. However, Gu He did not want to wait. In order to avoid more trouble, Gu He decided to take Qinglin as a disciple as soon as possible and get the Qingming earth fire. As for the gift left for Yixian, it was a test of Gu He. The system did not state that it was necessary to give the disciple something in person before the system could return it. Gu He thought of this method to test whether the system could be triggered to return it. Hearing that Gu He had left a reward for her, Yixian's eyes suddenly showed a look of surprise. Although she didn't understand why the teacher had to wait until after 20 days, Yixian still said obediently, Teacher, I know. Yes. Looking at Yixian's obedient appearance, Gu He nodded with satisfaction. The teacher will be sent tomorrow. After the teacher leaves, you must seize the time to practice and never slack off. Yixian said naively, Teacher, please relax, you know, the disciple has always been working hard to practice. Hearing this, Gu He laughed and agreed, yes, you are much more diligent than your senior brother. Chapter 88 The Mystery of the Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, as soon as it dawned, Furukawa got up and packed his luggage and prepared to leave. Squeak. Opening the door, Furukawa just walked out of the room when he saw a small figure sitting in the pavilion not far away. This girl, why do you get up so early? Looking at the little medical fairy sleeping in the pavilion, Furukawa had some doubts in his heart. Then, Furukawa walked over and patted the delicate face of the sleeping little girl. Disciple. Following Furukawa's 2 calls, the little fairy doctor woke up faintly. Looking at Furukawa in front of her, she subconsciously shouted, Teacher. Gu He looked at the little medical fairy and asked doubtfully, Disciple, why don't you go back to the house to sleep? The little medical fairy was stunned for a moment, then thought of something, and his face changed. By the way, teacher, I want to give you something. Then, the little medical fairy took a big bag from the Neji and hugged it in his arms. He smiled and said to Furukawa, Teacher, you are going to travel far away. The disciple has prepared some cakes for you to put in it. You can take it with you. Let's eat on the way. Don't worry. What my disciple cooks for you is your favorite food. The little fairy doctor smiled sweetly, looking at the big bundle in the little medical fairy's hand. Furukawa was silent for a moment and said slowly, Is this why you stayed up all night? Hearing this, the little medical fairy nodded slightly. Teacher, don't you like the disciple's art the most? I've been away for so long this time. Wouldn't it be very greedy if I couldn't eat the food made by the disciple? Therefore, there are so many disciples. Made some. Looking at the little medical fairy with a smile on his face, Furukawa felt a little warm in his heart. Then he took the bundle in her hand and said with a smile, You girl, I feel so sorry for you. My teacher's love for you is not in vain. The little fairy doctor smiled charmingly. Gu He rubbed her little head and said softly, Go back and rest. I am only going to be a teacher for a month. I will be back soon. Hearing this, the little medical fairy nodded obediently, and then walked towards his room. Ko glanced at the bundle in the bag, and then put it into the ring. The next moment, Furukawa had a thought in his mind and used. By the time Furukawa's figure appeared again, he had reached the foot of Yunlan mountain. Afterwards, Furukawa released Xiao Jin, who had been put into the system space last night. Xiao Jin, get bigger. Under Furukawa's order, Xiao Jin instantly transformed into a giant bird that covered the sky and soared into the sky. Furukawa jumped onto Xiao Jin's back, and then quickly disappeared from the Yunlan Sect's territory. Let's find a place to break through to the realm of Dozong first. Sitting firmly on Xiao Jin's back, Furukawa's eyes flashed with thought. After a while, Furukawa pointed to a direction and said to Xiao Jin, Go to this direction. Phew! With a high-pitched neighing sound, Xiao Jin's speed suddenly increased and he moved quickly in the direction pointed by Furukawa. High in the sky, there are clouds and mist. A giant bird covering the sky shuttled through the clouds and mist at extremely fast speeds. Furukawa stood on the back of the giant bird, his sole force looking downwards. Almost there. Looking at the towering mountains that came into view not far away, Furukawa narrowed his eyes slightly. Xiao Jin, get ready to go down. Furukawa looked at the Warcraft mountains getting closer and closer, so he spoke to Xiao Jin, phew. Xiao Jin neighed, and then quickly fell down, looking at Qingshan town below. A trace of trance flashed in Furukawa's eyes. The last time I came here, I was still a starfighter. In just a few months, his own strength has undergone earth-shaking changes, reaching the peak of the Star Do Emperor. Passing by Qingshan town, Furukawa had no intention of stopping. He directly followed his memory from last time and headed towards the small valley surrounded by the Warcraft mountain range. Passing through the mountains and forests, Gu He sat on Xiaojin's back and slowly fell into the valley. After landing, Xiaojin's figure quickly shrank and turned into a golden bird, hovering on Furukawa's shoulder. Standing in the valley, Furukawa couldn't help but sigh. I broke through the Do Huang realm here last time, but I didn't expect to break through the Do Zong realm this time and come here again. The word fate is really wonderful. Gathering his mind, Gu He slowly walked towards the valley. Before he fully entered the valley, Ko felt the rich energy filling the void. What a great place for a breakthrough. Gu He showed a smile and then slowly stepped into the valley. In the valley, the energy became even more intense, faintly condensed into a dense fog. In the valley, there are also various precious medicinal herbs growing. The smell of medicinal herbs, mixed with the energy mist, makes people feel relaxed and happy. Looking at the energy mist in the valley and the various precious medicinal herbs inside, Furukawa couldn't help but feel a trace of doubt in his heart. Why is there such a rich energy in this valley, and why are there such a large number of precious herbs growing there? That the last time I came here for retreat, I was in a hurry, so Furukawa didn't notice this problem. Now, looking at the scene in front of him, Furukawa couldn't help but feel a trace of doubt in his heart. Could it be that there is some secret hidden in this valley? Suddenly, this thought flashed through Koga's mind. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain why there is such a special scene in this valley. Maybe there is no treasure hidden there. Thinking of this, Furukawa's eyes showed a hint of expectation. To be able to create such a scene, if there is a real treasure in this valley, then this treasure must be extraordinary. Then, with a thought, Furukawa released his soul power and began to explore the valley. Today, he wanted to find out what kind of secrets were hidden in this valley. Soul power swept through the energy mist, and Furukawa carefully paid attention to every unusual place. A moment later, there was a soft cry in the ancient river, and the soul power instantly condensed towards a corner in the valley. Through soul force induction, Furukawa discovered that the energy mist in this corner was much richer than in other places. It seems that this is where the weirdness lies. With a thought, Furukawa immediately appeared in the corner of the valley. Furukawa approached the mountain wall and observed it carefully. At this moment, a thick energy mist suddenly spurted out from a gap in the mountain wall. Furukawa was immediately attracted, with a hint of surprise in his eyes, and then suddenly realized, it turns out that the energy mist in this valley comes from here. It seems that there is some secret hidden in this mountain wall. Furukawa hesitated for a moment, then with a thought in his heart, he cast soul fire. As the purple flames rose in Ko's eyes, a raging fire suddenly ignited on the mountain wall in front of him. Under the burning of the original divine fire, the mountain wall began to slowly melt. Chapter 89 7-Colored Sacred Lotus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the valley, Gu He used his soul fire, condensed the source of divine fire, and continued to burn the mountain wall in front of him. The ancient sacred fire of is formed by the condensation of different fires, and its power is naturally extraordinary. Under the burning of, the mountain walls gradually began to melt. Soon, a large hole was revealed on the mountain wall in front of Furukawa. With a thought, Furukawa widened the range of the flames and swept them around. As the large hole on the mountain wall grew larger and deeper, a fist-sized gap suddenly appeared in front of Furukawa. A large amount of energy mist emerged from the gap, pouring out crazily towards the outside world. It seems that the energy mist in this valley is indeed pouring out from the mountain wall. Feeling this pure energy mist, Furukawa's eyes flashed. Afterwards, Furukawa increased his intensity and burned the mountain wall in front of him. After a while, as the source of the sacred fire continued to burn and deepen, a large hole with a depth of 3 meters appeared on the mountain wall. After a while, a flash of black suddenly appeared in the depths of the big hole. Furukawa glanced at it and suddenly showed surprise. The mountain wall was actually burned directly to the ground. There really is a cave inside here. Looking at the burned-out mountain wall, Furukawa's eyes lit up, then he continued to increase the firepower and continued to enlarge the hole. After a while, more and more darkness appeared in the cave, and a dark space slowly appeared in Furukawa's field of vision. Soon, a black passage appeared in front of Furukawa. Extremely rich energy mist surged violently from the dark passage. So rich, so pure energy. If you practice here, your cultivation speed will definitely increase several times. Furukawa was amazed for a while, and then looked into the dark passage. It was pitch black where you entered your eyes, and you couldn't see anything. With a thought, Gu He released his soul power and probed into the dark passage. As the soul power deepened, Furukawa's eyes lit up. In a dark space, he actually saw light. Moreover, in this bright light, he sensed extremely rich energy fluctuations. There is indeed a treasure hidden in here. This fluctuation should not be a fluctuation of Warcraft, it is most likely a treasure of heaven and earth. Go and have a look before we talk. Furukawa slowly opened his eyes, and then his body flashed and disappeared instantly. In an instant, Furukawa's figure directly reached the depths of the dark passage. At this moment, in front of Furukawa, there is a pool. The water in it is extremely clear, with rich energy fluctuations. This pool of water is actually made of condensed energy. Furukawa was a little shocked and looked at the water in the pool. However, what caught Furukawa's attention the most was a lotus flower in the pond. I saw a colorful lotus floating on the water in the middle of the pool, and its refreshing fragrance filled the dark space. Colorful lotus. Koga's eyes stayed on this lotus. This lotus flower is about long, with hazy and colorful light surging on the colorful petals. From a distance, this colorful lotus looks like it was carved. At the same time, as the seven-colored light on the petals flashed, terrifying energy fluctuations flashed across these seven-colored petals, and finally gathered in the center of the seven-colored lotus. Lien, Furukawa's eyes suddenly shrank, and he saw a ball of cyan light shining between the colorful lotus flowers. It turned out to be a lotus about the size of a finger. Circles of cyan halo emanate from the lotus, filled with surging energy. Furukawa stared closely at the colorful lotus flowers in the pool. Suddenly, an idea flashed in Furukawa's mind. From the inheritance of the 9th-grade alchemist, he suddenly found information about this colorful lotus. 9-color holy lotus. According to rumors, in ancient times, on the Douqi Continent, there was a 9-color lotus flower that surpassed the heaven and earth. This 9-color lotus is called the 9-color holy lotus. The 9-color holy lotus is the creation of heaven and earth, and can naturally condense endless energy. In ancient times, once the 9-color holy lotus was born, it attracted many top powers at that time to compete for it. The 9-color lotus flower has already channeled the spirit, and at the critical moment, it transformed into 9 lotuses and escaped into the void. Later, someone got a lotus and spent countless blood to cultivate an 8-color holy lotus. Although the 8-color holy lotus cannot be compared with the legendary 9-color holy lotus, but it can also condense huge amounts of energy. With the help of this 8-color holy lotus, this person finally managed to develop an ordinary family into a top power that ranked at the top of the mainland. Gu He stared intently at the colorful holy lotus in front of him, and couldn't help but make assumptions in his mind. Could this colorful lotus be transformed from the 8-colored holy lotus and grow into a 7-colored holy lotus? If this is really the case, then you are in trouble. Thinking of the legendary effect of the 9-color holy lotus, Furukawa's eyes showed uncontrollable ecstasy. Although the 7-color holy lotus is not as powerful as one of the 9-color holy lotus, it is definitely one of the top rare treasures in the mainland. No wonder this valley is enveloped by pure energy, and a large number of precious medicinal herbs grow there. It turns out that this colorful holy lotus is at work. Thinking of the scene in the valley outside, Furukawa's eyes suddenly showed a look of enlightenment. I really found a treasure this time. Gu He looked at the 7-colored holy lotus in the pool. If he transplanted it and placed it in his courtyard, wouldn't it be possible to create a treasure land for cultivation? At this time, Gu He had another idea. If he gave this 7-colored holy lotus to his disciples, after getting a 10,000-fold return, he might be able to bring the 9-colored holy lotus of ancient times back to the world. Thinking of this, Gu He couldn't help swallowing. Looking at the 7-colored holy lotus in the pool, with a scorching light in his eyes, with the effect of the 9-colored holy lotus. It is enough to create a unique holy place for cultivation, in the original work. The 8 ancient clans, these hidden forces, all lived in a small world isolated from the world. The energy of heaven and earth inside is many times richer than that of the outside world. If you establish a power in the future, there is a 9-color holy lotus planted in it. It contains the energy of heaven and earth, which can definitely crush the small worlds of these ancient families. Looking at the 7-color holy lotus in the pool, Gu He couldn't help but move. Then, Gu He slowly approached the pool, ready to transplant it into his own system space. When he saw the pure energy condensed into liquid in the pool, Gu He couldn't help but think of his purpose of coming here. Isn't this an excellent holy place for cultivation? Gu He's eyes lit up, and he used his soul power to explore the pool. After not sensing any danger, he jumped into the pool. End of chapter. Chapter 90 Breakthrough Do Zong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang! With a splash of water, Furukawa's entire body sank into the pool. As soon as he entered the pool, Furukawa felt a huge force slowly penetrate into his body. There is almost no need to activate the exercises, these energy will automatically enter the body. Feeling this, Furukawa couldn't help but sigh. Even if you stay here for a while, your cultivation will probably improve. Afterwards, Gu He swam to the side of the colorful holy lotus, and with a thought, he directly took the colorful holy lotus into the system space. The time and space in the system space are controlled by Furukawa's mind. As long as Furukawa makes a thought, the things inside can keep time at a standstill. Therefore, he is not worried that the colorful holy lotus will fail due to entering the system space. Moreover, the colorful holy lotus is a rare thing in the world and will not fade away so easily. After doing this, Gu He gathered his mind and slowly sat cross-legged in the middle of the pool. Then, with a thought in his mind, he contacted the system directly and said silently in his mind, "System, extract 10 years of cultivation." As soon as Furukawa finished speaking, in the system space, a large amount of light ball suspended in the void immediately turned into a ray of light and shot directly into Furukawa's body. Before Gu He could respond, he felt a huge amount of energy pouring into his body. This force is extremely violent, like the rushing river, with turbulent waves. Bang! A slight muffled sound sounded in vain in Furukawa's body, and a flush appeared on Furukawa's face. The energy contained in this amount of light balls suddenly exploded in Furukawa's body, causing Furukawa's whole body to tremble slightly. Feeling the changes in his body, Furukawa quickly responded, and then without any hesitation, he immediately used the divine art to absorb this incomparable power. However, when Furukawa began to come into contact with this power, he discovered that this power was even greater than he imagined. These forces are like a fierce horse with the reins removed, galloping through the Furukawa body with extremely violent rage, whizzing past, impacting the meridians of the Furukawa body. The heartbreaking pain immediately overwhelmed Furukawa's nerves. You still underestimated these capabilities. At this moment, a little cold sweat broke out on Furukawa's forehead, and his whole face was completely distorted at this moment. With the previous experience of merging power, Furukawa thought he was already familiar with it and could easily withstand this power, but this time, the volume was far greater than the previous times. After all, what corresponds this time is the cultivation level of who is in the 9-star Dohuang realm. Such a huge force suddenly penetrated into his body. Even though Furukawa's physical strength at this moment was no longer what it used to be, he was still in great pain for a while. At this moment, Furukawa seemed to realize the pain that Ling and the little medical fairy suffered when receiving their own initiation and passing on their skills. This energy was full of destructive power, and all the muscles in Furukawa's body twitched slightly along the way. If you want to refine this energy, you must first suppress it. Gu He's mind condensed slightly, and the fighting energy swirling in his body rolled out like a turbulent sea. Furukawa controlled these fighting chi to form barriers of fighting chi in his own meridians to block these surging forces. If this body has not been tempered by the original God, I am afraid it will not be able to withstand such a torment, but the containment there is no way around this power. A steady stream of energy surged out of the body. As this energy accumulated, the aura formed by the condensed fighting energy in Furukawa's body collapsed. This force once again impacted Furukawa's meridians. Furukawa's meridians were vaguely unable to withstand the tearing sensation caused by the impact, and actually became a little distorted. Feeling this, Gu He frowned slightly. I must refine these powers as soon as possible, otherwise when all this power is poured into my body, I am afraid that my body will not be able to withstand the impact of this power. Even in the end, refining it will leave a lot of hidden damage. Toshiro Furukawa's face became extremely stern and vain, and his long hair hanging down to his waist danced wildly, and a devastating aura emanated from Furukawa's body. Then, he saw Furukawa's eyes flashing with an astonishing purple light. Immediately afterwards, countless substantive purple flames slowly appeared in Furukawa's body. The moment this flame appeared, Furukawa immediately controlled the flame to rush towards the majestic energy, used the source god to disperse these energies. Let them disperse in every corner of the body, and then I refine them one by one. Hold head high. The purple flames grew stronger and stronger, and streaks of purple flames were seen condensing out of Furukawa's body, slamming into the tide-like energy, and forcefully breaking the energy into pieces. Seeing this scene, Furukawa let out a sigh of relief and stared at the energy that was passing through like a flood. I will refine these energy in the next step, but it may take some time to completely refine these energy. Immediately, Furukawa closed his eyes, concentrated his energy, and devoted himself to refining the energy in his body. The dark space gradually became extremely quiet. As time passed, half a month passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, a powerful roar suddenly erupted out of thin air in the peaceful valley. Immediately, the energy between the heaven and the earth began to fluctuate violently. As the roar sounded, the energy between the heaven and earth seemed to be attracted, and began to condense towards the valley frantically. As time passed, the vibration between heaven and earth became more and more intense. Waves of strong energy continued to penetrate from heaven and earth, and then continued to flow into the dark passage of the valley. From a distance, almost the entire valley was wrapped in these colorful violent energy, which was extremely spectacular. Such a change naturally attracted the attention of all the monsters in the Monster Mountain range, and countless astonished eyes were cast, looking at the violent energy in the sky that seemed to be real. The terrifying pressure that was faintly permeated made some weak monsters in the entire Monster Mountain range tremble in the caves. The changes in the void became more and more terrifying as time passed. In Qingshan town, many mercenary groups looked at the colorful streak that seemed to fall from the sky, with infinite horror in front of their eyes. As more and more violent forces poured into the valley, a majestic aura, like a sleeping dragon, slowly spread from the valley. Feeling this aura, even the king of the Monster Mountain range, the purple crystal-winged Lion King, was hiding in his cave at this moment, feeling anxious.